1 week ago, this person says,
"You're not in the alpha because Blizzard thinks you're irrelevant."
How about now?
What?
Hey, it's Soul. It's March 9th, 2018. This is Warcraft Weekly. That is Bob over there. And let's get started with the show. Brought to you by Callum's Thunderwood. Thunder in a bottle. It's exactly what you think it is. So how was your week, everybody? I always like hearing a little something from you folks at home and on the toilet as to how things went for you this week in the world of Warcraft or in the fleshy 3D world. Well, for me, it's been busy, but you haven't really seen a whole lot of video content. You might have seen some extra streams from me because I finally got into the Battle for Azeroth Alpha, with pretty much no thanks to Bob.
I'm in the Ultra Alpha now.
Liar. It's hard to say exactly who to thank. I can thank Jay over on Twitter, I can thank Necroxix for introducing me to Jay, but I guess more than anything, it's just been the weeks and months and years of all the effort that I put into the channel, and of course everyone, all of you folks at home, on the toilet, in the car, everyone who's been watching and voting and even doubting me. Those are the things that have kept me motivated and kept me, driving really hard to, well, one, to just get in, and two, to just continue giving you all things Warcraft and all the other good stuff too.
And what good stuff is that?
I don't know, the flawless humor that I bring to the table.
No.
So because the alpha pretty much got in the way of everything, I have very few features, so I'm going to put a lot of things on hold. The transmog contest, the trial of style stuff, I'm going to extend that another week. So if you have a cool transmog that you think is worthy, then go ahead and submit it through any of my social media links, go ahead. And to also kind of make up for it, I'm going to try to feature 2 WoW-related YouTubers or content creators. So if you know of anyone who has 10,000 or fewer subscribers, send them my way. I'll take a look at them and maybe I'll feature them next week or in a future weekly. The World of Warcraft Chronicle Volume 3 is looming. It's gonna come in less than 20 days. Over on Amazon, they've included what looks to be almost a quarter of the entire Chronicles book. That's, you can take a look at it and start reading it now. I'm not going to get into any specifics. I would invite you to just go over to that preview and take a look at it for yourself. They have it over on MMO Champion, but this particular volume covers the end of the Second War all the way up into World of Warcraft Cataclysm. So now we're finally starting to get into the context of the World of Warcraft, which I find pretty interesting because now that we're getting into the World of Warcraft kinds of stuff, now we're starting to see context of just what it is the Horde and Alliance do with certain conflicts. Now, I'm not going to get into specifics, but I do find it interesting that when it comes to taking credit, there are some instances where the Horde does the heavy lifting, and there are other instances where the Alliance does the heavy lifting. And of course, they talk about the Horde and Alliance kind of working together to eliminate or to remove like these major world threats. And so many other folks have already pointed this out, but there is a kind of joke reference to Madan. Pretty much the common joke is being the biggest Mary Sue of the Warcraft universe. Anyway, I'm excited to do the thing that I typically do whenever a new Chronicles book comes in. I open it up, I sit down, and I don't get up until it's done.
Yeah, he preps a chamber pot and everything.
So if you're interested in picking one up, I'm going to provide a link below. Alright, so Alpha, I am in the Alpha, and, well, what do I do now?
Yeah, what's the hunter without the hunt?
I suppose you're kind of right. I mean, there goes like the salt jokes and like the gags with you being in the alpha.
Super alpha now.
Shut up. I guess first let's get into some of the data mine stuff that's been revealed this week. One is that we finally have a non-speculative look. This is the actual upright walk for the orcs. Not only that, but they run. Ooh. And I also observed that the animation that I applied to other models, like the undead that I did in a previous video, that's still there. So it makes me wonder, well, actually, it makes me hopeful that we're going to see more customization options in the future. Now that Blizzard has a model that they can kind of manipulate a little bit more efficiently than before, maybe it'll be a little bit easier to design new sorts of animations that can be applied across all of these models. And yeah, sure, some of them look much better than others, but the point is to have options. Options are very good, and the World of Warcraft is pretty notorious about having not a whole lot of options when it comes to cosmetic styling. Over the years, it has improved a little bit, most notably with with transmog, and now we're getting this whole upright option with at least orcs, and maybe this can be extended to other races, but I'm definitely up for seeing more. I want to see what the potential is. Now that we kind of have our foot in the door with these sorts of options, can we do anything about altering mass just a little bit? Is there a way that we can get like slightly taller dwarves and gnomes, or shorter tauren or shorter trolls? Who knows? I think we're starting to see some of the beginnings of that, and so I'm hopeful over the next, I don't know, maybe a couple patches, probably another expansion or two, we'll be able to really get into this whole idea of more robust customization options, like I said, about like mass, walking style, that sort of thing. Alright, now, Zandalari Druids. We've seen Gamera, and we've seen one of Spider-Man's arch nemesis. And now we have this thing. It's like a cat had sex with a raptor, and it has racing stripes on its tail. And it has tusks, because everything troll has to have tusks on it, right?
It looks like a couple of animals were killed and a taxidermist put it all together.
You realize you said aminal, right?
Shut up.
I want to say that this cat raptor craptor thing, I want to say it looks cool, but I really want to wait until it is actually animated first. Right now, just like I said, it looks like a dead animal that was stuffed by a taxidermist and put on display. It's just really stiff, kind of like how you see Ashara. Right now, the model that we have of Ashara, it's not animated at all. We can just kind of rotate it around, but it's in a very rigid position. My hopes and expectations are that this new feral creature rides like a little bit lower, like it has its legs bent a little bit more. The tail is obviously going to move around a little bit, maybe curl up. But yes, I'm going to reserve my judgment until we can see some animations, because right now it just looks really goofy. It's a craptor. I can't get over that. There are also a couple of other images that were revealed during this build, like this bug that's looking more and more like a hydralisk. We have this drill looking thing, and now we have a new kind of horde Azerite tank, similar to the Alliance Azerite tank that I was talking about earlier, and had joked that, hey, maybe they're going to make this into a metal druid guardian form. Okay, no, not really. But it does make me a little bit curious as to where these sorts of models are going to be used, whether or not this is going to be something that we'll see at max level when we when we as factions invade-ish the other side's continent and start breaking stuff, or we're going to use these machines not just for Azerite farming, but is this going to be more so like a war machine? My guess is that this is like one of the first products that we're going to see of weapons of war that are created with Azerite as, I don't know, a power source or a weapon system or both. This kind of gives us a glimpse of like a golden age, not a golden age, but more like an industrial revolution that revolves around war. And it's easy to write the narrative from here. We're going to see Horde and Alliance develop these newer, crazier, more destructive machines. They're going to blow the crap out of each other. The old gods come out and try to encroach, and then the Alliance and Horde are going to remind the old gods and such. It's like, hey, we have all this cool technology. We're going to turn it on you now, and then they're going to blow them up, and then everything's fine, and then we're going to go back to killing each other again. We have pretty much like the next couple of expansions worth of content that are going to be based on this, newer technology, and then all of a sudden we're going to go up to motherfucking space. And then StarCraft, so there you go. Spoiler alert. And speaking of damn near insane speculation, are we going to get Dark Iron Dwarf Shaman?
Okay, that's great and all, but what about this thing about human druids?
That's right, with this most current alpha build, there is a certain questline for the Alliance where they're over in Kul'tiras, and they're over in Drustvar, or is it Drustvar? Someone said it before. Help me, please. Over in Kul'tiras land, there are a couple of NPCs and quest lines that are related to, and they pretty much allude to, the possibility of human, or at least Kul'tiras human druids. Now this is pretty interesting. There's a lot of possibilities that can come with this whole human druid theme. There's a recent article from Wowhead that goes into this speculation, and that's based on some stuff that they've seen on Reddit. What they speculate here is that these Kul'tiran human druids have the ability to turn into, I don't know, wicker beasts, like, little tree, guardian tree sort of things, but I don't know, I'm a little skeptic of that. I'm not terribly familiar with the lore, so there's not too much I can speak of. I'm a little bit of a skeptic that folks like the Shenanigans Circle would be able to accept this kind of druidism that kind of animates trees, maybe against a will. I don't know if that kind of perverts the nature of things or not. So I'm going to withhold judgment and just say, you know what? That's kind of interesting. That might be a cool thing to explore. Human druids. And finally, because I'm not sure if anyone has done this yet, although I'm pretty sure that someone has, I just haven't noticed, I'm going to dive into the alpha and take a look at a little something. Alright, so spoiler alert, I'm just going to go through the adventure guide over here on screen and just kind of gun through well, stuff that I haven't really figured out for myself yet, and I'm going to take you on a journey with me. So if you already know this stuff, sorry, this is just kind of a review. Alright, so there are in fact going to be 10 dungeons at launch, just like Blizzard was talking about, but the access to these dungeons are still kind of up in the air. If I go over here at the Dungeon Finder and I try to go into a specific dungeon, I notice that King's Rest is not one of the selections here. So this might be one of those dungeons that might be a mythic only sort of dungeon. And I do notice here that, I don't know, maybe this is like an attunement process or an item level requirement or something like that. But I notice that some of these dungeons are locked off. I can't queue for this dungeon because I don't meet the requirements for this dungeon. So this might be something quest related. You can see here that in the Legion dungeons, I just don't have a high enough item level. According to this, I need to add a level of 680, which I have like no hope of ever getting to. So I guess, oh well, I guess that's it, dude. No more Legion dungeons for us, like ever. So are dungeons going to be locked behind quests? Maybe. I'm totally fine with it because I'm a big quest slut, but part of me thinks, okay, are they going to make this locked per character, or is this going to be like an account-wide unlock that we'll have access to later on once we have actually experienced all that there is for the story? And as expected, we are going to get some sort of world boss content. We see stuff in Zandalar and Kul'tiras, although it's a little bit inconsistent. In Zandalar, we have like 2 world bosses that I don't know if they are going to be these things, because this, I don't know, I believe this tree thing that's given itself a wet willy is something that we would typically see over in Kul'tiras, but who knows. And then this one looks more, this kind of looks more like the money. But if we go to Kul'tiras, we don't see anything here. So it might be 1 boss per continent at the moment. But if we go to Uldir, and spoiler alert, we're going to see some of the bosses here. We can see some of the boss names, some of the abilities, and the models as well. Okay, that's probably not really the model, it's probably a placeholder. Mother that's definitely the name of the boss, no doubt. We got Guar making a comeback, probably not. We have this encounter called Titan Discs, where apparently we have to either defend or activate these Titan Discs while these kinds of boss-like things come down at us. And then we end things with the Blood of G'huun and G'huun itself, a really... wow, that's really cute. So for the first tier of rating, we're going to be going to this place, Uldir, the Titan Vault or Prison of G'huun. And I think that about wraps things up for now. I want to thank everyone for coming and everyone who's been supporting me and giving me words of encouragement throughout the past couple weeks and months and years, I guess. This entire experience is a lot of fun, and it's a real joy to participate in the community the way that I have been. But I'm hoping that all you folks at home and on the toilet will continue supporting me the best way you know how. Between the patrons and the sponsors, they have a lot of influence over the content that I put out, but it's all of you who keep watching and commenting and liking these videos that really keep this going. So give me one more second to thank you all one more time. Next week, I hope to get back into step with some video essays and, of course, some more alpha footage and other reveals. Keep an eye out for the morning streams on Twitch, and I'm going to do a little bit of an experiment and do some of the raid streams where you just kind of get a glimpse at me and my guild prisoners of Warcraft wipe a lot on easy content. You can watch that over here on YouTube Gaming. All the airtimes are below if you're interested, and if you want to like subscribe and follow me on Twitch, make sure your notifications are turned on and tune in. Otherwise, Bob and I will see you next time for the next thing that we do. You all have a good one, and I'll see you next week. Until then, stay safe, stay happy, and stay breezy.